Okay, so now we're going to look at lesson 3. We're going to look at controlling men. So we have this alternative family, which is Polonius' son and daughter. Laertes. Laertes has asked permission of Claudius to go back to Paris. And what we're going to see is Laertes talking to Ophelia because Hamlet's shown some interest, and Laertes is quite hesitant and doesn't think he's appropriate really for her. As with everything, this is highly edited. So this is passage 1 for lesson 3, act 1, scene 3. For Hamlet and the trifling of his favor, the trifling, that sticks out right away, and the trifling, the play, this is a kind of play, playfulness, holds it as a fashion and a toy, trifling meaninglessness maybe, toy in blood, a violet in the youth of primy nature, forward, not permanent, sweet, not lasting. The perfume and suppliance of a minute, no more. So his attention and love is temporary, almost a game, fleeting. He's just paying attention to you now. He won't stay with you. No more, but so? Look, perhaps he loves you now. His greatness weighed. His will is not his own. So the prince doesn't get to choose, does he? For he himself is subject to his birth. Royalty, rules. He may not, as unvalued persons do, carve for himself. For on his choice depends the safety and health of the whole state. So, choice is not about love, but about politics. And therefore must his choice be circumscribed unto the voice and yielding of that body, whereof he is the head. Okay, so now the state is a body and he, the prince, is the head. Metaphor. Then, if he says he loves you, it fits your wisdom so far to believe it, as he in his particular act and place may give his saying deed, which is no further than the main voice of Denmark goes withal. So what he says and what Denmark says are different. So there's he, and then there's Denmark. And they're separate. They're two different things. Then weigh what lost your honor may sustain, if with too credent ear you list his songs, or lose your heart, or your chaste treasure open to his unmastered importunity. So let's see. You may give his saying deed. No, not that one, sorry. What your honor, loss of your honor, that's the one. Loss your honor. I don't know what list his songs means, but I do know lose your heart, and they must be associated. Honor, heart, chaste treasure. Here we have this thing that we feel we need to control women, control their emotions, control their reputation, control their bodies, and he is out of control. He doesn't know control yet. He does not have control of himself. You know how men are, but I don't know what exactly is meant there, but it is an interesting idea that he doesn't have control of himself, or he doesn't know how to control what his opportunities are, I guess. I don't know. Fear it. This is what we're to do. Fear it. And keep you in the rear of your affection, out of the shot and danger of desire. Look at that. So desire, fear. I think it's worth stating he's trying to implant something in her mind. I shall the effect of this good lesson keep as watchman to my heart. Now, I think Ophelia is controlled a lot, but here we see just this moment of cheekiness with her brother. But, good my brother, do not as some ungracious pastors do, show me the steep and thorny way to heaven, whiles like a puffed and reckless libertine, himself the primrose path of dalliance treads, and recks not his own reed. So don't be hypocritical, like priests, to show the hard way to heaven when you take the easy path of fun or dalliance. And Laertes says, "Oh, fear me not. I stay too long, but here my father comes." There's a lot of jokes. This love between these characters in this little scene. Oops, sorry. Let me just show you that. This love in this little scene is very touching, I think, and really insightful. Laertes is trying to control his sister, of course, but he's also he's looking out for her. He reveals a lot about what we think about women and what we expect of them. Polonius, who's a real hilarious character, but also talks a lot, comes in to say goodbye to Laertes in this passage 2 from Act 1, Scene 3. This is a famous scene where Polonius gives Laertes a lot of advice on his journey back to Paris. Yet here, Laertes, are you still here? Abroad, for shame. The wind sits in the shoulder of your sail. That's a nice little image. Meaning it's ready to go. The wind personified is pushing. And you are stayed for. There, my blessings with thee. So he blesses him. And these few precepts in thy memory see thou character. So these precepts are kind of rules, advice. They are banal, cliche almost. They're sayings. I think in the first quarto or in the folio, I can't remember, these phrases that riddle this speech are in quotations. They're just a series of advice. I think they're supposed to be funny because it's Polonius who's saying them, and he kind of, well, let's see. Give thy thoughts no tongue, nor any unproportioned thought his act. So try not to talk, and try not to let your inside thoughts out too much. And don't act without thought. So speaking, acting. I've never done this list. Let's see how it goes. Be thou familiar, but by no means vulgar. Okay, so you should be close to people, familiar, close, but not too close, vulgar, making inappropriate jokes, acting like you're very close. Those friends thou hast, and their adoptions tried, grapple them to thy soul with hoops of steel. Friends, hoops of steel. But do not dull thy palm with entertainment of each new hatched, unfledged comrade. So, great friends, yes. Not too many shallow friends. Unhatched is good. New hatched, unfledged comrades or friends. Beware of entrance to a quarrel, but being in, bear it, that the opposed may beware of thee. So avoid fights. But if you fight like a bear. Just get in there. So again, you almost have this contradiction of argument, and it all makes sense. It's all fine, and it's like a dad definitely talking to his son, just laying it out like this. give every man thy ear, but few thy voice. Take each man's censure, but reserve thy judgment. Okay, so take their ear, but don't talk too much. Take criticism, but don't judge. I like this one. Costly thy habit as thy purse can buy, but not expressed in fancy, rich, not gaudy. For the apparel oft proclaims the man. He's talking about clothes. And they and friends of the best rank and station are of the most select and generous chief in that. So the French have good fashion all the way back then, I guess. And you should be dress rich, yes, but not too much, not flash. Again, how are you supposed to thread this needle? I don't know. Don't lend money or borrow money, neither a borrower nor a lender be, for a loan oft loses both itself and a friend. So you don't get your money back and you lose the person that you lent it to. And borrowing dulls the edge of husbandry. I think what's meant there is taking money doesn't teach you to make things, to create. This above all. Now, when I was young, I really loved this line, and I thought it was really true and good, and it's a very famous line that people quote. But when you think about the context in which it is, it's quite banal, it's quite funny, it's quite, it's a cliche. To this above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day, thou canst be false to any man. So be honest. To yourself first. Be honest to yourself, and you will be honest to everyone. You won't be false to any man. Surely this is like a very important idea in the play. Also, this idea of what's inside of you and what you share. Most humbly do I take my leave, my lord. Farewell, Ophelia, and remember what I said to you. This is she's sticking her in it, because he's hinting in front of their father that he said something. 'Tis in my memory locked, and you yourself shall keep the key of it. This metaphor, it's almost like she's taking some of the advice. She doesn't want to speak what's inside of her mind. So here we get this little family portrait. Again, we don't have a mother here in this family, but we get the sense of a brother and a father who really care and love their sister and their daughter, but also want to control them and are really wary of her being out of control. And that's what we're going to see in the next passage when Polonius speaks to Ophelia about Hamlet.